to our next installment of quarantine cooking with the Instant Pot. So I have another variation of rice and beans for you. This time we're going to be using white rice, which has a slightly, or not slightly, has a significantly faster cooking time than brown rice. So we can't use dried beans. We're going to actually be using canned beans with this one. Otherwise, it has similar attributes to the last one. It's sort of dump in the pot and go, which is my favorite kind of cooking. Alright, so a few notes. This recipe called for some sauteed onions. You can saute in the Instant Pot, but the Instant Pot bottom tends to be pretty sticky, and if anything is stuck in there after you saute it, it will cause your entire thing to burn. I don't personally own a spoon that's particularly good for scraping bits off the bottom, so I just did it in a non-stick pan, and that made my life easier. So this is the sauteed onions that I've come up with. They smell delicious. I'm really excited, and it's actually our first ingredient to dump in the Instant Pot. So this recipe I got online, just like every recipe I use. I halved it because I have a small Instant Pot. The recipe will be attached at the end of this video for you. So let's go ahead and put in our lovely sauteed onions. If you do want to saute in the Instant Pot, you want to heat it up first, touching the saute function, and then when it beeps and starts to count down is when you'll actually put your things in. The oil you can put in at the beginning or at the end, or once it starts counting, I should say. But that's up to you, and again, you're going to want to scrape every little bit off of the bottom or else you're going to get a burnt message. So after we put in our onions, which would have been in there in the first place, we're going to put in our white rice. So I have a long-grained white rice, just 1 cup of this one. The recipe calls for more, but small Instant Pot and only 2 people. So go ahead and just dump that right into the bottom, and then it's gonna have you dump in your liquids. Now when I first made this recipe and halved it, I didn't put in enough liquid, so it calls for 3/4 cups of coconut milk and 3/4 cups of water for the original whole version, and that wasn't enough liquid for my Instant Pot. Could have been to do with the saute function as well, but the whole thing burned, and then I dropped the pot, and it was a really exciting day because my husband had to run into the kitchen and make sure there wasn't anything, burning my feet or anything. And when you hear a banging and clash from the next room, if you live in my household, you know that I've dropped something, and it may be glass. So that was fun. Alright, so all that to say, I have actually left the liquids in their original amount. So 3/4 cups of coconut milk and 3/4 cups of water. As far as the coconut milk goes, this is the actual canned version. You can get, coconut milk at the grocery store kind of in a carton next to the almond milk, and you can use that if you want to, but you're not going to get nearly as creamy or as refreshing a coconut flavor. So I dumped the coconut milk and the water in. Now I have seasonings. I've got a little salt, a little allspice, and a little pepper. Just dump those right in. Now this recipe does call for stirring, so go ahead and give that a good stir. Alright, looks good. And we're gonna then take our kidney beans. Now again, this is just a can of kidney beans. The recipe does suggest leaving the oil liquid in. If you're uncomfortable adding more oil to your recipe, that's okay. Because we've left so much coconut milk and water, you can actually take these out and rinse them and do it without. But I'm gonna leave it in because yum. All right, So dump that right into the top. Now this we are not going to stir. I think the last ingredient I had is it asks for fresh thyme. I don't ever have fresh ingredients. Once in a while I'll buy fresh basil leaves or something, but the truth is I'm sort of like a black-thumbed plant killer, so my mom always had, you know, fresh mint leaves and everything growing up, and I can't do that because every time she gives me a plant, I kill it. So dried thyme will work just as well. I'm going to dump that one on top of the beans there. You can estimate this. It's fine. Do it to taste. Alright, so that's all set, and I am going to put on my lid. Now, you may not be able to see this, but when you're doing the lid, you always want it pointed to ceiling, not to venting, unless the recipe calls for it. So in this case, I've got it ceiling. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put that in and count down to start cooking. We'll see you in a few. Okay, a few notes as far as cooking goes. One, some Instant Pots that are newer have a rice function, so you can use that for this recipe if you have a rice function. If you don't have a rice function, you can use good old-fashioned pressure cook. Our favorite does everything. So I'm going to go ahead and do pressure cook on this for 6 minutes. The interesting thing about this recipe is it actually doesn't want you to do the instant release where you hit the switch and let all of the steam out. It wants you to do a timed release where it just gradually lets pressure go on its own. So for 10 minutes after it's done cooking, I'm just going to leave it be, and then we'll let whatever is left of the steam out. So for that one, a couple of things. First, we'll pressure cook. It's already set to 6 minutes conveniently, and I'm going to take this keep warm button here and turn it off, so that when it's done, the pressure just releases internally instead of keeping it warm. Okay, so I have a little bit to taste. Let's see. That's delicious. Alright, so here we have Instant Pot rice and beans, the Jamaican red beans, and white rice. So this, if you can't tell in the background, I actually have a crock pot going, making some pulled pork. So that's what I'm going to have this with later today. Thanks for joining me for quarantine cooking. Enjoy!